It's Thursday. It's Thursday. Or should I say almost the weekend eve? I hope somebody is out there getting something to drink. And if you do, leave one for me. Happy Thursday evening. I know a lot of people getting ready for the game. It's the first Thursday night. Second Thursday night game of the year. And I know a lot of people getting ready. So we're just doing this later edition of our car tender talk for today. And I know we were talking a little bit more about the lottery and sports gambling and things like that. But of course, when something happens in the news that is a little more current or pressing, I try to talk about it and just give some perspective on it. So yesterday, a gentleman named Charlie Kirk. Now, a lot of people that I find that may not be as deep on YouTube may not know about a lot of these, because podcasts are like the way to go, because people can express their opinions, and if they have a backing and they build a following. And so Charlie Kirk was one of these guys who he was a staunch conservative and a supporter of Donald Trump, which is no big deal, no whatever. But and I'm not going to even play any of the stuff because I'm not going to give that type of negative energy any further energy. But if you want to, you can go and look, because I heard about him for the last few years. I even had to go back and look at some of his stuff. Shout out to my buddy Kyle Mills Bain. He actually had a clip on there, and I saw some of the stuff on him that I hadn't seen before. Just some talking supremely negative about black people. And once again, as I always say, that's what I mean about a race car. Why does it always have to come back down to black and white? I haven't done anything to anybody, right? I mean, of course, I stand with, the betterment of all people, but I haven't done anything to anybody. So why is there always something negative to say about black people? Like he said something about, once again, I'm paraphrasing, if he gets on the plane and it's a black pilot, he's worried. He doesn't want to get on the plane. If the person is a black doctor, he fears that, the black doctor is not going to, just stuff that, and because these types of voices are platformed and supported by people like the President of the United States, it doesn't sit well with a lot of people. And, I've listened to some other podcasters and other people, and mostly conservative ones or people who are Trump voting or leaning people. And they're just blown away that people are talking negatively and saying that this guy deserved what he got. Now, let me stop right there. Because me, as a person who, although I'm not the most practicing one, I still am a Christian. And regardless as to how I feel in my heart about people, I still do not want to see anybody die. I still do not want to see somebody, especially somebody like him, who had a young daughter, who had a wife, who had a family. So I'm not advocating or standing behind anybody that said that's good that he died at all. But what I will say is that, and I've said it, and I'm going to say it over and over again, when you have people at the top, and I'm not talking about him. He had a big voice in the party, but I'm talking about somebody like the current regime we have in now. But when you have somebody that, from a human aspect, from just a human standpoint, preaches hate, preaches division amongst people. And I'm so sick and tired of people that are Republican who try to give another spin on this. Like, instead of just saying, man, it is what it is. You already got the office. You already got the votes to do whatever you want to do. Only reason you probably can't try to, put people back in bondage is because you know that people will fight. But the thing is that like, why not just say it? Like I've pointed out before, he has one black person in his entire cabinet. Ben Carson, I think, if that, dealing with some housing stuff. But I'm talking about as far as in the meat of his cabinet, who does he have that's black? Latino, Asian. I don't know. I'm just giving out different people. So what I want you to do is I want you to do your research on Charlie Kirk. And did he deserve to die? No. No. They said that he was shot with a high-powered rifle. It was one bullet, supersonic. They said this thing was moving. I don't even know the dimension. You can look it up. But from a high-powered rifle, they have some images of the guy that killed him. Supposedly, he's a slimmer Caucasian man. I think he's wearing sunglasses. But wherever he shot him from was really, really, really far away at Utah Valley University yesterday. And this is the kind of stuff, even with the riot. You know, these are the kinds of things when you start having people that start talking crazy at the top. You got other people. You know the problem with craziness? You know what the problem with craziness is that once you start craziness, you can't dictate how to put it back in a bottle. You can't dictate who's going to run around and start doing dumb stuff. Like, remember during his first term when somebody ran into a bunch of protesters down in I think it was West Virginia. I don't know how many people he killed. Or another guy coming out with a gun and shooting a bunch of people in the crowd. And it's never anything that this guy, the president, the current president, ever comes out and says, hey, listen, that's not the way we act. That's not the way to be. I don't stand for that kind of stuff. But now, unfortunately, that somebody that you had that get killed, you want to call him a great man. All of the stuff he said about black people. This is what I want people to understand. This is not race baiting. This is not just talking from a Democratic perspective. This is talking from a black man's perspective. Go and look at what some of the stuff this guy says. And Donald Trump says that he's such a great man. He's about to posthumously give him the Medal of Honor, I believe. And if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. But he's giving him some type of medal. After the kind of stuff that he had said. Just because you're black, you could never do surgery on him. Just because you're black, you could never fly a plane that he's on. Do you understand how freaking ridiculous and stupid that sounds? And so, yes, I don't defend him being shot. I don't like that at all. But I also don't like, on the other hand, where these same people that are so outraged about people talking about negatively about him getting shot, why weren't you outraged about what the heck he said? Let me get a little deeper. Why weren't you outraged by what the hell he said? You can't control craziness. Just like the riots from January 6th. Years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. You can't control craziness. Once you put the battery, as we used to say in the hood, once you put the battery in the back of somebody, you know what I'm saying? You don't know which way they're going to go. All you know is that they're going to go. They're going to do crazy stuff. And the thing that sickens me, about this whole stuff, even that attempt on the president's life, or when he wasn't the president, running for president last year, y'all took out JFK. You took out Dr. Martin Luther King. What did they ever do to anybody? What did they ever do to anybody? If you look that up, the guy Charlie Kirk is talking negatively about Martin Luther King also. Look it up. YouTube it. Charlie Kirk talks about Martin Luther King. Why did he get killed? Was Martin Luther King sitting up there talking about, oh, if a white surgeon comes in, he can't do any surgery on me. If a white guy comes in, he can't do this, he can't do that. He can't do any of this stuff. And I dare anybody to say that that's something that's minor. That's major. Why would you, as a person that has a major platform, that has direct line to the president, talk this kind of way? I don't care if it was 5 years ago. I don't care if it was 10 years ago. Why is nobody holding him accountable for the stuff that he said even before he has gotten shot? Because you see, that's why I always talk about this. It's always one-sided. You got the side with power. You got the side that has virtually no power. I'll let you tell me or think about which is which. But it's sad, isn't it? I really want you to think back on it. They killed JFK because, and I don't care what the reasons were, but he was assassinated, and this was a sitting president who was assassinated, and most likely they said the FBI was involved in him and King's murders, but he was assassinated for the most part trying to do the right thing. Dr. King was assassinated for trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, this gentleman was assassinated, but who was he trying to do the right thing for? I'll tell you what he was trying to do the right thing for. He wanted to continue to keep privilege, and preach to a base of people who are already privileged. You know, that's the thing about the world where, you know, I guess when you grow up and you're not rich or you're not privileged, you know, but still have a good upbringing, because I have good parents and good uncles and aunts, so I ain't tripping. And I'm not talking about, like, you know what I'm saying, I had to sleep outside on a cardboard box, so we're not going there. But what I am saying is that some people in this country are very, very privileged. And outside of watching a basketball game or saying, hey, welcome to McDonald's, how may I help you? Or somebody cutting their grass, they have very little social interaction with black people. So therefore, it's easy for you to say, like he said, a lot of the why mass shootings, why isn't gang violence considered mass shooting? Just a bunch of hateful rhetoric. So once again, like I said, you can't control crazy. We all know that, right? I've talked about that before too. You know how you got that one family member that's just crazy, and you know they just can't control themselves. They can't control how they act. But that's the first person you want to call when something's about to pop off. But then you realize when they get there, you can't control how they're going to act. And the sad part is, they may find themselves in more trouble than anybody else. And guess what? It wasn't even their problem, but you called them there. So now they're locked up. Now they could be stabbed. Now they could be shot. Now they're in the middle of stuff. Because remember, you know what I mean? You don't want me to call my crazy cousin. You know what I mean? You don't want me to call Nee. You don't want me to call Peanut. You don't want me to call one of them, do you? And it's a shame, because there is no such thing as freedom of speech. You may say, well, Greg, what do you mean? Just like I know the old one they used to give us, yeah, don't say fire in a movie theater. You can't say that because it'll cause a chaos. It'll cause a ruckus. People will start running out and everything like that. But you know what you also can't do? You can give your perspective on things, but when you preach hate, when you preach the constant division of people, when you spew racism, which I don't care what anybody says, the deepest, worst roots in this country are between black and white. Always. And when people don't want to take the time to say, hey, listen, this is the way I feel. Like Charlie Kirk had every right to feel the way he felt. But did you need to come out and tell millions of people that? Did you need to come out and make millions of people feel like on one side, the black side, that they're not crap, and have other people that align with you pumping their fists like that was right? No. So there is no such thing as freedom of speech. People always want to say this like kids and all that. Oh, I'm free to do whatever. You're not free to do nothing. When you're in this house, you're free to do what I tell you can do. And see, everybody just thinks that they could pop off with no consequence. And there's consequences behind everything. I don't know the Bible verse and just end it with this. But somewhere in there it says, the tongue is mightier than the sword. And Carl, Mom, Lou, a couple other people I know that watch. I know you probably know this one. The tongue is mightier than the sword. What am I trying to say? Watch what you say. Before I talk to people, even when I get upset, take yourself a few seconds. Watch what you say. Watch what words you put out in the atmosphere. I'm going to give you an example. When I got into the worst accident in my life, my car accident I got into, I remember I used to say, man, I can't stand Cadillacs. You know what I mean? I can't stand them. And you know what? Only time that I kind of changed a little bit when the Escalade came out, but I couldn't afford the Escalade, so it didn't matter. But I said, I wouldn't be caught dead in a Cadillac. And I said, you know what? The matter of fact, the only time you could put me in a Cadillac is when I go to my funeral. And, I don't know if God was playing a joke on me or not. But when I got into that terrible car accident, guess what kind of car I was in? A Cadillac. So I guess ultimately that Cadillac saved my life. Now I still got one. I'm still not saying I want another one. But hey, you get the gist of what I'm saying. But hey, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, Uncle Harold, for your comments. Carl, Mom, Jake, keep up the good work. But you just remember to live life. Don't let life live you.